Elton, can you tell everybody that nobody is judging them for using a cane more than they're judging themselves? Yeah. Look, that's Mummy's cane. All right, my blind friends, gather round. Gather round. It is time that we had a much needed chit chat, okay? Today, it's time for a heart-to-heart. This has been on my mind for a while now, and I think it's time we talk. Now today, you might hear things that you're not ready to hear, and that's okay. You can absorb, digest, walk away, and come back when you're ready. I am here to be your blind bestie, your blind sister, your blind cousin, whoever. I am just here to tell you some things somebody needs to tell you. Now, if you are a confident, happy, capable, successful, accepting blind person who is like so far into your journey and you're like all good, this probably isn't for you, but please feel free to stick around and offer words of encouragement, support, love, and guidance in the comment section below. If you are the loved one of a blind person, or if you work with the blind community, also feel free to stick around. I just want to have a chit chat. July of 2022, when I was getting my guide dog, Elton John, I was chatting with our O&M instructor, who I love and adore. He's so wonderful. And I was just asking him about work, asking him about his job, working with other guide dog users, working with cane users. Like most O&M instructors, he works with people all along the spectrum of blindness, every age, every different disease background, different skill sets, different steps of their journey, whether they're on their 5th guide dog and they've moved houses for the 8th time and they're learning their new walk to their 10th job, or whether they are brand new diagnosed and just getting an ID cane for the first time. I just love talking about my community. So I was chit-chatting with him about it. And I was like, how are my people? How are my RP people doing? And he was like, Molly, you RP people are so difficult. And I was like, tell me about it. And what he had to say resonated, and I think it probably will with many of you. But this video isn't just for my RP fam, isn't just for those of you who also have retinitis pigmentosa. It's for anybody who has a progressive disease, anybody who has Stargardt's, macular degeneration, any of the sisters to RP. If you deal with specifically night blindness or struggle to see in dim and dark lighting, this is, I think, going to resonate with you as well. I think us RP people are just kind of most known for it, and maybe are like quite common as far as the like causing night blindness situation goes. But I want to have this conversation because not only do I think we shouldn't maintain this reputation of being difficult and not accepting, but also because at the end of the day, the only person you're hurting is yourself. And I learned that the hard way and want to try to help other people avoid that. So what he was telling me is that the people he works with who have RP are the people who are the hardest to convince to use the cane. And despite the fact that most people with RP are fully night blind or near fully night blind, really struggle with vision in dim and dark lighting, a lot of people with RP, especially early stage, can see really well during the day still. Some people can even drive a car during the day. And so it's really hard to convince them that sometimes they need a cane and that one day they'll probably definitely need a cane, and that it's better to start to figure it out before you have a really big reason to need it. Now, I personally started learning how to use a cane when I was, I want to say like grade 1 or 2, pretty close to my diagnosis. But I started using it full time when I was 8 or 9 years old following a really traumatic accident. And I don't want other people to have to get to a point where they experience something really dangerous or really scary or put themselves or other people at risk or in danger to accept that they need to start using some kind of form of assistance. Speaking of accepting using the assistance that exists, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video before I go any further, which is CVS Pharmacy and SpokenRx. Spoken RX was created by CVS Pharmacy to make sure that you and me, those who are blind or visually impaired, or honestly just anybody who struggles to read the tiny print that is on prescription labels, can do so independently. You can read all of your information that you need without asking for help, because we all know that the information on these bottles is very important, but also sometimes very private, and sometimes we want to keep our secrets to ourselves, right? So it is so nice to be able to read all the information you need, from the prescription name and dosage to when it expires, who prescribed it to you, who it's prescribed to make sure you're not picking up somebody else's medication. That would not be good. To make sure that you can call your pharmacy. It has the pharmacy information and phone number and so much other information. It's available in Spanish and English, and it is completely free to sign up for. It's available nationwide at any CVS pharmacy. So you can go in and talk to your pharmacist if you think this is something you could benefit from, or even just give them a call over the phone and they can help make sure you're set up for it. They essentially just affix this RFID sticker to the bottom of your prescription pill bottle, and then you can use the CVS Pharmacy app to help you read all the information you need. Here's a quick demo. All right, I want to show you how this is done. So on my phone, I have my CVS Pharmacy app open, and of course my screen reader is on. Okay, it's ready to scan. Now I'm going to take the sticker, I'm going to put it behind the camera on my phone, and we just wait for it to read. I just felt it buzz, which means it's getting the information. And then here is all the details. Now, this is not actually my prescription. It's just like a little fun little prop, but there's all the details. Before something like this existed, I always needed to ask for help from other people, and it's just so nice. Every little bit of independence that you can get back as a blind or visually impaired person means the world, so I so appreciate that CVS Pharmacy has gone out of their way to make this happen. They partnered with the American Council of the Blind when creating this, and I just love that. I love when things are not just made for us, but with us. I'm going to link some information down in the description box below. Again, if you think you could benefit from this, please check out that information to learn more. Thank you, CVS, for sponsoring this video and providing yet another tool that enables us to live our lives to the fullest and most independently as we can, which is exactly what the cane does, my friends. Now, I'm not sitting here being like, I love my cane. We all know that's not true. I've always been transparent about that. The cane is not my favorite tool, but it was a necessary tool for me, and certainly a necessary tool for me to utilize so that I could get my preferred tool, which is my guide dog. But as I've said so many times before, you can get the guide dog, you've got to get the cane. But guide dogs aren't right for everybody. Sometimes the cane is the best and right tool for you. For example, if you only need your mobility aid part-time, so you maybe only need it at night, a guide dog might not be the best tool for you. A cane is probably going to be the right choice. But you got to get over that first hump, the first hurdle where you actually pick it up and use it. Now, the reason I was so inspired to want to talk about this, and I've just had it in the back of my mind ever since I had this conversation with him, was because of the one thing that he told me, which was really sad. He said a lot of his clients with RP, when he says to them things like, well, don't you want to be able to go out at night? They'll say, no, I'll just stay home. They will build their entire life around only doing things when their vision is at its optimal. So they will avoid going out in dim and dark lighting, which in the winter, in majority of cities in North America, it gets dark as early as 4 p.m. So that doesn't give you much wiggle room if you work a 9-to-5 job. In fact, it makes it hard for you to even get home from work. I was thinking to myself just recently when I was at my brother's wedding, and it was a really overwhelming environment. It was really hectic. It was really busy. Lots of new spaces. I was thinking to myself, the best thing I think that I ever did for myself before losing the majority of my vision, and really I was a child, so the best thing that my family ever did for me before I lost the majority of my vision was not cater to my vision loss. They still took me to dark restaurants. They still brought me out at night to parties or events. They didn't let me stop living when I couldn't see. I don't want you to stop living just because your vision gets worse. Because like I said, the only person you are hurting when you do that is yourself. There are so many incredible blind people who are living proof that you can live a successful, happy, fulfilling life without sight. Well, right now, you might be able to avoid doing things when your vision isn't good. One day you might not be able to. I have a much more aggressive form of RP than most people do, and I lost more vision and much younger than most people with RP do. That doesn't matter. People like Marta, who I recently interviewed, went from near 20/20 vision to fully blind in an instant, completely unexpectedly. Those things can happen. And whether you have an aggressive form of RP or a slow form, one day your circumstances might change. And I think the best thing that you can do for yourself is like get comfortable with the idea that you might not have as much vision someday as you do now. And so maybe that means blindfolding yourself for 30 minutes a day in your home and practice doing things that you do regularly. Maybe that means going out at night or going to a restaurant that you avoid because it's more dim. Because I know that when I lost the majority of my vision, whilst it was very hard, and you all know I struggled a lot with depression, I was very angry, resentful, I went through all of the stages of grief, I still knew that I would be okay because I had continued to live my life in the dark, even when I could see in the light. Growing up, and still to this day, I consistently pushed myself out of my comfort zone and did things that scared me or made me feel vulnerable in order to gain skills that would ultimately help me in my life. And I can't tell you how accomplished I would feel every time I did one of those things. And every time I continued to do them, they got less and less and less scary. I'm not saying to like push yourself off the cliff of discomfort, but take baby steps. Take baby steps because I'm telling you, the cane is so much more scary before you start using it than it is once you do. And the people who love you in your life, your partner, your coworkers, your friends, your family, they're not going to be embarrassed that you are using that cane. They're not going to look at you as somebody who's weak or as shameful. They're going to think of that as somebody who's doing what they need to live their life to the fullest, to be the most successful, capable, safe, confident, and independent person that they can be. And those are all qualities to look positively on. Every single time that I'm scared that I can't do something, or I get frustrated because it's not as easy as I want it to be, or it's not as easy as it would be if, oh my God, if only I could see, which trust me, I still have those moments 100%. And I think I probably always will. And that's okay. It's a part of the journey. But every time I do, and I push through and I keep trying and I get to the other side of that challenge, the amount of relief I feel, the amount of pure joy and excitement that I feel that, wow, I can do this thing again that I thought I had to give up when I went blind. I can do this thing more easily on my own that I lost when I lost my vision. Because when you lose your vision, whether it's just in dim or dark lighting or whether it's overall period point blank, it's gone. The hardest part is letting go of all of those things that you loved, but you don't have to let them go completely. You just have to change or adapt to how you can do them and enjoy them now. It's like I always say, who I am didn't change when I went blind, just how I do things changed. And I know that you might see me now and think I'm never going to get to that place of feeling so confident and secure in my disability. I'm never going to get to the point where I could do XYZ on my own. But I was you at one point. And I'm sure in certain ways I still am. There's other blind people on social media or in my real life that I see doing things and I feel insecure that I can't do those things, or I wish that I had the confidence to do that on my own. And there's other things where I'm like, nope, they can do that. Go off, sis. You do that on your own. That's great. I'll keep asking for a little assistance. That's okay. Because we all have different limitations, and it's important to listen to yourself and your own internal compass. We all have different things that feel more important to us than other things. Certain forms of independence feel like bigger milestones to reach to some than others. But I think the very basic task of navigating independently is something it's equal to all of us. Being able to get yourself to and from work, being able to enjoy going on a date at night, going out with your friends to the bar or to a concert at night, being able to have literally just a portion of the day back, which is dusk evening, nighttime, early mornings, being able to have that time of day back where you don't feel like you have to constantly avoid living during 12 hours of the day just because your vision isn't at its best at that point, or because you can see less than you feel comfortable with, isn't okay. I don't want that for you. I want you to have that back. And that means using a cane. I know that the moment you pick up that cane, your disability becomes actualized, right? Your disability becomes more real the more assistive technology or adaptive equipment or assistance you need. Like all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I am disabled. I can't avoid this anymore. I can't live in this bubble where I am just sighted and I get to live as this sighted person. And then when I'm not sighted, I get to like hide away from the world and pretend that my blindness doesn't exist. That's not real life. And I'm here to tell you that whether you use the cane or not, you're blind. You're disabled, and that's okay. And that's okay. It's okay. And I get that it is so hard to accept that sometimes. It's harder for some of us than others. But using the cane doesn't make you more disabled. It actually makes you more capable. It actually gives you ability back that you've lost and that you're losing regardless. Speaking of accepting the help that you might need, therapy. Therapy is great. I highly recommend therapy along your vision loss journey. Again, whether you think you need it or not, frankly, I think everybody needs therapy. I remember when I started going to therapy, I was like, why isn't quite literally like every single human in therapy? Because it's just nice to have a sounding board. It's just nice to have somebody who helps you learn how to think, who helps you learn how to process your emotions and understand them. And if you're struggling to accept the help that you need in something like a cane, if you're struggling to accept the reality of your diagnosis, that you are blind, that you are losing your vision, that you can't see in dim or dark lighting, then therapy is probably also a very useful tool to help you navigate that journey. Something that's really hard about living with a progressive disease of any kind is the unknown, that the future is just completely unknown. And even at my very late stage of vision loss, things are still changing. And I still don't know if or when, well, I do know probably that, yes, I will, but I don't know when the rest of the light and shadow perception I have will go. I know it likely will, given how aggressive my RP is, but I don't know when. And I'm continually adapting to the fact that it is changing. And regardless of my vision changing, that just as I get older, my needs are changing. And that's hard because you get used to one version of your life and then that version changes again. And not only do you get used to it, but everybody around you gets used to it. And then once it changes for you, you have to explain that to all the people who that affects, all the people in your immediate life who have to go through that change and navigate that change with you. And that's really hard. And it can feel like a super big change has happened when you're at that point of finally needing assistance like a cane. But the reality is avoiding it doesn't change anything. Your vision's going to keep changing regardless. If you have a progressive disease, it's just the hand in life that we've been dealt. The sooner you can learn to accept that and just embrace the challenge, learn to see it as something that's being done for you instead of something that's being done to you, the sooner you're going to be able to get back to living your life and enjoying yourself. And again, that's something that I want for you. So I hope that whoever needed this was able to receive the message. And please, if this resonated with you, leave a comment down below. And if you are somebody else in the blind or visually impaired community, let's share the love in the comment section down below. Share any of your tips, tricks, advice. How did you feel when you picked up your cane for the first time? Where are you in your journey of acceptance Let's just have like a really supportive, loving space for everybody in the community down below, regardless of where you are on your journey. I also want to thank CVS SpokenRx for sponsoring this video. Once again, more information about that down in the comment section below. Really encourage you to check it out if you feel like it's something that could benefit you. I will only get my prescription filled at CVS so I can get my SpokenRx FRID sticker on the bottom and live my best, most independent blank girl life. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Until then, you can go here to watch part 1 of that interview with Marta, or over here to click and watch part 2 of my interview with her, because if this helped you, I feel like her story will really, really help you as well.